Hey everyone, it's Rich, Plant-Based Coaches Podcast. I'm joined here today with Dr. Suzanne Foxx
Hey,
and Rob
everybody.
Lee. And we're going to turn the tables a little bit for a change. They're going to be interviewing me because I've had a knee issue for the past 4 or 5 years. And the reason I want to talk about it is people are always wondering if I'm running or if I'm going to be doing races anytime soon. And I thought our audience would want to know what's been going on. So take it away, Suzanne and Rob, whoever wants to go first.
Okay, well, I'm the physical therapist, so let me just interview that knee situation, okay?
Yep.
So, what happened to your knee to make it start hurting? What was the starting point?
Yeah. I did a road race in November 2019. There's a famous race in Connecticut called the Manchester Road Race. And I was looking forward to it. I was doing a lot of training before then. When I was running, something felt off, like there's some sort of pain. It wasn't a bad pain or anything, but I could tell something was kind of off that day. But I ran
The front,
anyway.
the back, the sides, where was the pain?
It was in the front.
Okay.
And so I pushed through, got through it, and I didn't really relax. I did my usual routine afterwards.
Oh.
And by later that evening, again, I should have probably relaxed the knee after that, or at least iced it because it was giving me trouble during that. So what happened was I was starting to get very inflamed. I remember I was in the local Target store at the time and never had anything like this before, and I was starting to panic. I could barely stand on it, but I got outside the store and drove home somehow and thought it's going to calm down. But it never did that night.
Oh.
So I ended up calling the ER, the ambulance.
Oh my gosh, you had to have an ambulance. Oh my goodness.
First time in life ever doing that.
Oh, that's pretty serious.
I couldn't bend my knee at that night, and they had trouble getting me down the stairs to get in the ambulance even, because any kind of movement, because it was like straight, out, and if it bent a little bit, I'd be in excruciating pain. And I'm so thankful that never happened.
Future tip: if your knee ever does that again, you put the bad knee down first, and you just take baby steps one at a time. That's expert physical therapist tip.
That's good to know, but I hope
So
it never happens
again. Extended the whole time. Yeah.
Sounds like when I had my hernia surgery, it was so painful. I've never had that kind of pain. And then I got put into the back of my sister's Chevy, like Chevette or something. And I had to get out of there. But anyway. Yeah.
When you had your what surgery?
Hernia surgery. Years ago.
Yeah, that's terrible pain. Yeah. The same thing. Stay extended.
Yeah. So that night they did an X-ray. I found out there was an issue years ago. The issue was starting to show up again. I twisted my knee in college. I was cleaning my dorm room at the time, and I remember my left foot was all the way back. So it was like something tore when I did that. And
so your left foot was all the way behind you, like it was.
Somehow it tore something in the knee. Yeah. So they think maybe it was an ACL tear or something, and it just healed on its own, because I never really had any surgeries after that. And it was, maybe a few days later I was fine and off the crutches after that. And I wasn't doing intense exercise like I did after I lost weight. So, a number of years later is when the injury showed up again, when I was starting to run, because that's when I was really starting to focus on exercise. And the doctors think that, it triggers something, because maybe I was not using the, best form or whatever. And, something happened where it triggered the injury again.
Yeah, I have a really good theory about that. If you guys, have you ever had like a wagon, and it has like a toggle bolt up at the front where the handle to the wagon is attached to the wagon?
Yeah.
Okay, and then the handle also has like a little screw in it, right? So when that toggle bolt gets loose on the top of the wagon, then the handle also gets loose. So what I like to say in physical therapy is Your hips have to be very, very strong. Your hips and your core and your buttock area, they have to be very, very strong. And your hamstrings have to be really flexible. And when, people can go like, they can run like a 5K or something like that. But when they try to increase it to like 7 or 8 miles, that's when, the excess force, and they push down and then there's this wiggle, and then they push down and there's this wiggle. And what happens is over time, there gets to be more wiggle than their knee can tolerate, and that's when it all starts to fall apart.
Exactly.
It's exactly what
And
happens. So
every
if you keep your
therapist I've
hips
been
and your
to,
butt really strong, that's when everything improves. Yeah.
every
I know
time
it's
I've
kind of
been
weird to
to a
talk
physical
about.
therapist, they've always said that, it needs to build muscle in the hips and hamstrings always tend to be tight.
Yeah,
And
yeah. So you have to I know it's so boring. You have to do those. It's best to do those stretching things after you've exercised. Like you've exercised
yes.
all your muscles and they're all hot, and then it's a really good time to take 5 minutes to just really, really stretch your hips and your hamstrings and your.
And I never did any kind of stretching when I was doing
I
the
know
running.
nobody does. No runners ever do. They come to my office and they are just rubber band. They are so tight.
I actually do
All with
some
knee pain.
stretching for like 5 minutes,
Yeah, it's
before
just 5 minutes.
I run.
Just 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Makes all the difference in
Exactly.
the world.
Yeah.
5 minutes.
Yeah. So
then what happened to your knee after that?
Yeah. Well, to finish up the story about the ER, they ended up draining fluid, sent me home with crutches. I had somebody drive me home because at that point I still couldn't bend my knee. Yeah, I saw the orthopedist a few days later. She said, try walking without the crutches. And I was fine. And everything seems to be fine. She put me in physical therapy. But I noticed every couple months I would get extreme swelling again. It wasn't painful like the first time, thank God, but it was clearly there. So I went to an orthopedist again. They tried a few things, or more physical therapy. I've never had a cortisone shot because I'm just throwing this out there. I don't ever intend to because I don't want to degenerate my knee any further.
They do cause everything to kind of slow down and stop, which can stop, a healing process, which also makes it feel a lot better because everything stops and slows down. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So that being said, I did do what's called a PRP injection. That's platelet-rich plasma.
Did that help?
It did. It took maybe three different times, but it did calm the swelling down. And I haven't had that kind of swelling since, which I'm grateful for. Because the swelling, again, it wasn't painful like that first time, but swelling, it can slow you down because, your leg feels heavy with all the fluid and it's difficult to move. And then to talk about what happened last year, Suzanne and Rob, when we met up, you'll remember they slipped on the ice before then. It was actually my other knee. You know what's interesting? That was my other knee that I fell.
That was your other knee?
Oh my God.
And I never had any issues with it, and I still haven't since. It was just like a temporary thing that was. And
are you able to sit on your knees just out of curiosity like little kids do?
Am I able to now, you mean?
Like sit on them, like kneel down, like sit on them directly like you're, like little kids.
Yeah, I can with my right, but not with my left right now.
You can or you can't?
Can't on my left, but my right I can. You know what I mean?
Okay, so
I
it's just
can
the
get
left
down
knee.
low.
The
left knee is the one that you injured pretty bad.
Yeah, that's why I injured.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Okay.
So I went to another orthopedist recently. I'm glad I'm getting these second and third and fourth opinions because this last doctor, he was really awesome. He actually took an hour out of his time to talk to me about my knee because he was fascinated with my story too. Then plant-based story.
Yeah.
That I was a runner and all that. So he took the time to explain. He looked at my MRI and he told me something that none of the other orthopedists ever told me about, this bone marrow edema. And I have it extreme, in several areas in the knee. And he says that, there's no real treatment. I shouldn't say there's no real treatment. There is, but there's no real cure. It could come back, 5 years down the road if I'm not, doing exercises. And, I got to keep at it, working on my knee. But so there's something called stem cells. Well, obviously everybody knows what stem cells are, but there's a stem cell treatment that they can inject in the knee. that will take away the bone marrow edema. And he
Well, I'm
says,
pretty excited to see how that works out for you.
yeah.
What is
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
Your doctor didn't know.
I'm sorry, one more time.
What does the edema come from? I suppose your doctor didn't know. Huh?
Well, yeah,
Well,
from the
that's
injury
the
over the years and just the pressure on the knee. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, if I start doing these stretches and exercises and continue with my anti-inflammatory diet, which you love, you know, it shouldn't be an issue. But the issue needs to be resolved now so that going forward it can be manageable.
Have you seen that knees over toes guy on TikTok?
I'm sorry, there's a lawnmower outside. I'm going to actually turn it up. I don't know if you can hear the lawnmower outside, but
I hear something, but I'm not sure what it is. Yeah. I hope you guys can't hear Bitsy like breathing. She's making weird noises.
No, actually, I didn't hear
it. She's sitting here. She doesn't want me to put her down, so you got to hold her. You know how dogs get. But have you tried what was I saying? Something about I can't remember now.
Well, we were talking about the stem cell treatment. Was it something?
Yeah. I can't wait to see how that works for you because it's really important to see whether that does a good job, you know?
Yeah. The other treatment I've done is hyaluronic acid because that doesn't break down the joint further. And that actually did make a difference. I get my third injection in 2 weeks, but what that did is I've been dealing with stiffness of the knee for the past 3 months since another injury I got to tell you about. There's so much to talk about, I guess.
Oh, my goodness.
You're all screwed up, Rich.
Yeah. Well, I still exercise. The stiffness doesn't last long. It's like, you know, if I'm sitting for a while and I stand, then it's stiff and I got to wait till the stiffness goes away. Yeah.
Your knee?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you do a quad set, just out of curiosity? You know, the exercise where you put the towel roll underneath your knee?
I do.
You do that one? Yeah, that one's like really important. You need to do like 50 of those a day for sure.
What I need to do is to do it every day.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, Kobe got something to say? Where's Kobe? Is he in there with you? He's got something to say, huh?
He was there earlier.
Oh, there he is. There he is. There he is.
Kobe.
I love Kobe. He's so awesome.
Oh, he's a great dog.
He's a good boy. Very good boy.
He is. So the hyaluronic acid, I have one more coming up, and that did help alleviate a lot of the stiffness.
Yeah, those help a lot.
Yeah, but what triggered that was about 6 months ago. I was on one of those manual treadmills where you have to move it yourself with your feet. It's not motorized.
Yep.
So I felt something pop in my knee, and I don't know what it was. They did
left
an MRI.
Knee or right knee?
Left knee, of course. Everything's with the left knee. All the time it's the left. So anyway, it went away after I exercised, but I got off after I felt that. And that's when the stiffness, and it was buckling for a few weeks after that too. You know, I'd be walking.
Did they do an MRI? Did they do an MRI on there? And nothing's. It's just edema.
So what became of that was they noticed a vertical tear, but this doctor
in your meniscus.
Yeah, but this doctor thinks it wasn't an issue, and that vertical tear has probably been there for years, and it was small.
Yeah.
So structurally, he said there's nothing wrong structurally with my knee. It's just I got to get the edema under control.
How about the foam rolling? Do you do the foam rolling?
No, I don't. Do you recommend that?
Yes. You're going to hate it. You're going to hate it. Everybody hates it. You have to take that foam roll. You roll it from the top of your hips all the way down past your knee, all the way past the kneecaps, and then back up again. You do that 5 times. And then you do it on the side of your leg as well, all the way from the hip, all the way down past the knee, and then all the way back up. And most, if you don't have a problem with your IT bands, that doesn't hurt at all. But most people, that's very painful to do because that tissue isn't moving right, and that's why it hurts like that.
Yeah. So that goes away.
Do it all day, every day. It's bad. Yeah.
After you do the foam rolling, it goes away, right? The pain eventually when you do it.
Yeah, but you have to be able to do pain-free foam rolling. So it may take you a couple of months of foaming, rolling a couple times a week. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Then the pain will just be gone because that's the whole reason for it in the first place. Especially if they've done an MRI and they're not even finding
Yeah,
anything, then that's
yeah,
probably what it is. It's
yeah,
a lack of hip strength followed by the IT band being too tight and the
yeah,
muscles, just the fascia around the muscles, just too tight. And when you foam
right,
roll them and get your hips and your knees really strong and flexible, then the problem should go away since there's nothing structurally wrong with it.
right.
Yeah.
And the other thing I wanted to talk about was PTTD, which is posterior tibial.
Oh, yeah.
What's, I forget how to
Posterior
say it.
tibialis tendonitis.
Thank you.
That
Well,
can
it's
be a
not the
very
tendonitis.
serious problem. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Because what happened was it got inflamed because there is a tear, but they
Yeah.
originally thought it was ruptured. I went to another orthopedist before this one, and he looked at the X-ray and says, "Oh no, this is ruptured," and there's nothing they could do, and he wanted to do surgery. I hate the thought of that surgery, not just because of the
Yeah,
surgery.
especially since it's going to interfere with our, thing when we go
Yeah,
to the medicine,
yeah,
the
the
plant-based
conference.
medicine conference. Yeah, you don't need to be on that scooter, you
That's what
know?
they said. It would be like 2 months of recovery. I'm not interested in doing anything like that. And plus, you
No.
couldn't drive for a month,
We
they
got too
said.
much work to do, man. We got too much work to do. We got to be running around keeping up with all these other plant-based people when we get there.
Exactly. So,
Can't be on
yeah.
the scooter.
So the good news is this orthopedist, he used an ultrasound and he went all over my ankle and he even compared both ankles. So he showed me what the normal tendon looks like
Okay.
on the left side. And the right side, you could see a tear, but it's not all the way through. So he said, that's good news. It is treatable.
Yeah.
You don't need surgery. And he's going to treat it the same day as the knee treatment with the stem cells. So
Did he know what percentage of it was torn?
he didn't say, but it's like maybe half, but it's not all the way. So that's the important part.
They usually say like it becomes a surgical case when it's more than 50% torn. If it's less than 50%, then it can usually
Yeah,
heal on its
it
own.
must be
And that
less,
goes
I
for
guess.
pretty much everything in your body. Yeah. So you sound like you're right there on the
Yeah,
the
yeah,
edge. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
He was confident, and that made my day. It really
Yeah.
did because I did not want surgery.
No, nobody wants to do that. If they don't have to, they certainly don't want to.
Especially on your knee or leg. And
And well, this is on the ankle.
moving it all.
Yeah, but
All
this
right.
is the tibial, the tibial on the ankle. So, because we're talking about two different things, but
Yeah.
yeah, and the thing is, just to tell everybody about the surgery, what would be involved, he would have to take off one of the other tendons that's connected to the foot, move it to the other spot where the first one is.
Two surgical sites.
Yeah, move a few bones around in the foot, and there was something he wanted to do on the right side too because it was kind of shaky because of the left side, and so adjust the tendons. So no, no,
Oh, that's too extreme.
yeah,
If you can avoid all that, that'd be awesome. Your single
yeah,
leg stance exercise and picking up marbles with your toes is probably the best
yeah.
bet for, getting that thing strengthened up.
And you know what's funny about that? Nobody else in my family can do this. I haven't tried for years. I got to see if I can still do it. I used to be able to pick up objects with my toe. I could even try to write with my toes, believe it or not.
I mean, these are all really good things to be able to do, believe it or not. That keeps your feet really strong and flexible. And
I
that's
should
kind of what we
see
all
if I can
need.
still do that. I haven't
Wow.
done it since.
Yeah, you see people writing with their toes. It's like, how do they do that? But
Yeah, I was able to do that. So
pretty
I'm able to still do that now. I guess it's good exercise now for the
Yeah.
tibia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good exercise. Keep doing that. That's important. Yeah.
And the other thing is making the alphabet with your feet. I
Your
used to be able to
ankle,
do
yep,
that.
you got to write the ankle alphabet. Everybody always asks me, do I write it in capital letters or, lowercase? I said, write them in both and then do cursive too. I mean, just keep doing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just finish it all up.
Yeah, yeah.
When you go
So,
to the gym, do you ever do like a leg extension, Rich? Have you ever done those? Because they have at the gym that I go to, the Y, they have the front ones and then they have a back one where you push out straight.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're talking about like the lower leg extension.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are really good for you too. But you have to be careful with those because when you guys are doing those exercises, make sure you use the same amount of weight on the top as you do on the bottom. So if you're doing, I'm just going to use a number here. So you're doing 40 pounds for a leg extension. You want to use 40 pounds for leg flexion too, where you pull it in towards you as well. That's really
That's
important to keep those two
good.
even, and also keep them even on the inside and the outside, which is I know a lot of guys don't like to use that machine at the gym, but if you're going to the gym, make sure you use that hip abduction and adduction machine, and use the same weight on the inside as the outside. That's really important.
I actually see guys starting to use that more and more now, all the time.
They are, because nobody wants to have bad knees. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I love that machine because I notice the difference too when I use it.
Yeah, it makes everything feel better. Your back, your everything, because it's kind of your core muscles. It strengthens right up there where everybody really needs to. I always just do 3 sets of 10, and I use the same amount of weight. I mean, it's a pretty boring workout. You just kind of do the same thing over and over because that's how you get the results.
Yeah. And something I wanted to ask you, Suzanne, since you're a physical therapist, it also relates to my dad and what my other physical therapist I'm working with says. He was talking about bone on bone. And my dad found out he's bone on bone recently. And my physical therapist, both his knees, he found out. Yeah. But I found out, and what my physical therapist said, interestingly, my orthopedist said too, which I wouldn't think he would because he's a doctor who treats these things. But he thinks that everybody is bone on bone after age 40. And if there is if there's an issue with the knee, then the issues show up, but people tend to lose their cartilage anyway. That they both agree, but you don't agree.
I think what he's talking, of course, people on the standard American diet are going to lose their cartilage faster because they don't have good blood flow to everything to heal it and keep it going. But no, that's not the case at all. That's not the case at all.
The reason I was wondering about that is because my dad, he's in his upper 70s, and he never had any knee issues. And this showed up all of a sudden because he fell the other month. And I mean, now the arthritis is showing up. But
if he was my dad, before I had him get knee replacements, which is really the only cure for bone on bone, before I let him go through that process, I would make sure that his hips and his butt and everything were very, very strong, and that his hamstrings were very flexible, and that he could move his knees through a full range of motion. Because even if he ends up having to get a knee replacement, at least he's in really good shape to do it. And he'll already have done that. And he can just make an appointment and go get the knee replacement and recover extremely quickly because he already has good strength and good flexibility, should it be necessary after he does all that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's the other thing. What do you guys think about?
I would definitely give 3 good months to it, though.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about glucosamine as a supplement to help with the cartilage and stuff? I mean, is there any benefit you think? Because I take that.
I've taken it too, and it doesn't really do much, I don't think. It does, though.
The weird thing is it worked on my cat, but I don't know.
Oh, did it?
I mean, the cat can't really give you a placebo effect, right? So, I mean, it worked on my cat, but I personally don't take it.
And they say you have to take that with this glucosamine and something else. MSM. No, there's 2 things. You have to take glucosamine with something else, I know. And
chondroitin.
Thank you.
Glucosamine and chondroitin,
yeah. But the other one,
it really worked well on my cat, so I don't know if it works well on people. I mean, I think the results, I think there is some clinical results and clinical relevance to it. But I don't personally take any supplements.
I've been taking niacinamide for the past few months. And that, I think, has made a difference too with the stiffness.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah. A lot of people online who have knee trouble, they seem to like niacinamide. So
I haven't heard it.
He wants to Google it out there.
Yeah, we'll have to Google that up and look and see what it does.
Yeah. But to summarize about my knee, overall, I'm grateful that it's not really painful. Because if I had to deal with that pain like I did that first day.
It's bad, isn't it? It's so bad. You don't realize how bad it is. It's such a big joint,
Yeah. And it's been 4.5 years since that race, so I don't think it's going to come back. But I got to, get working on the strength training, and after this treatment, and so that's where I'm at with the knee. But I've never let it stop me. I've been doing 10,000 steps since probably 2012, and it's still continued. I think the only time I missed it was a few days after that excruciating pain in 2019, but almost every day I get 10,000 steps minimum still, and nothing stops me from.
Yeah.
I don't ever want to stop moving.
That's really a good goal.
Yeah. And I do the strength training.
I aim for 15, but I always end up around 10 to 12, right in there.
Yeah.
You know,
That's a good number.
I aim for 15. That's my goal. I'd love to get 15,000, but it's just, it's elusive. It's elusive.
Oh, I do get 15 some days. It's just, that it has to be the base of 10. I figure in my mind. Yeah, but many days.
Is that what you guys do, just walking around for work and stuff? Or do you purposely go out and walk?
Oh, no, even that all counts. I make sure my watch reminds me to stand every hour. I stand for 10 minutes and walk around, and I get my walking all day. I used to sit all day long before I lost the weight. I remember sitting for 8 hours, and my whole body would be stiff because I just didn't want to move after that. And this is before I made any changes, and that was scary. Feel like jelly. You can't move. So I make sure I move, because I've been there, and I know what it's like to not be able to move, and that's a scary feeling. I don't want to feel that.
And me too. With that lupus I had, it just locks you in. Your body's just a piece of cement. I was like, no, this is unacceptable. I will do anything to make it stop. Anything. We will talk about that another day.
Yeah, we plan to. Yeah. I probably have to get back to work soon, but just to let everyone know, because I know people have been wondering why I haven't been doing the races. I do plan to do that again in the future. Just got to get this under control, and I can't wait till it's under control.
For sure.
Yeah. So just get in the gym, work out those hips and those hammies, get your quads really strong. Stretch after your muscles are all hot from working out. Stretch. That bird dog exercise is really helpful too. Just that bird dog that people do for the back.
Yep, definitely.
Really good one. Really good one. Bird dog and fire hydrant. Just get your hips and everything super strong. Yeah. Yep. And the prayer stretch, of course. You got to do that.
And I just want to remind everyone before we leave that how important an anti-inflammatory diet is. I said this earlier too, but I want to stress it again. The doctor said I would have been in excruciating pain. He said this a number of years ago, the first doctor I saw. I would have been in excruciating pain, he figured. And this diet helped me avoid that. And I really believe it's kept any further deterioration, at bay. You just got to eat anti-inflammatory. And the best way to do that is a whole food plant-based diet. There's nothing else that compares to it. And turmeric. I mean, that's whole food plant-based too.
Absolutely. Add the turmeric. Make sure you get that in there. Some good stuff.
Yeah.
Mitzi agrees. Yeah, she does turmeric every day too.
Yeah, that's Toby. He loves it. You know what his favorite food now is before we go?
What's that?
I found out he loves pumpkin seeds. I dropped a few in the floor.
I love pumpkin seeds too. I mean, they're so chewy.
Yep. I give it to him as treats now, along with the garbanzo beans, which Suzanne, by the way, he loves those.
Same here.
It's just not safe. Yeah, they go crazy. I feel like they're going to just take me down.
Yeah, right. I know. Yeah, so.
But don't forget to subscribe to our channel, you guys.
Yes, please do.
Hit the like
there on the video, and
that helps us to keep sharing this information.
Yeah, we're getting close to 1,000. And, we want to reach as many people as possible.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, so good talking to everyone. And next week we're going to do an interview actually of Rob, and after that we're going to interview Suzanne. So we wanted you guys to learn more about us, because we deal with issues too, and our diet, we feel, helps all of us in whatever ails us. So tune in next week, and we'll be sharing another story.